Yo, 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 yo. This is Candy B, host of candibknittin. I'm Candy B. I be knitting. And today I want to talk to you about my holiday plans, my holiday knitting. I'm coming to you December 2nd, 2023. And so I have solstice coming up, got Christmas coming up, got Kwanzaa coming up, got New Year's coming up. Mostly I'm just looking forward to having time off from work. Me and Mr. Whirled have been very busy with work. The kids have very full social calendars, and so the last 2 weeks of 2023, the Whirled family will be taking off and just chilling and enjoying the darkness and enjoying each other's company and having lots of time to knit and spin. But first things first, the entrance into my holiday knitting cheer is the Nook sweater. It is finished, it is fully blocked, and so I thought I would take the time right now to tell you all of the relevant stats on this one. This is the Nook sweater by Stephen West from Hybrid Knitting Volume 1. It is, the pattern described the yarn as bulky weight, but if you look at the Ravelry yarn information as well as the gauge, it's closer to a worsted weight. So I used this very bright, colorful yarn is my own hand spun from Shirsty Cat. And I don't believe Shirsty Cat repeats colorways, but in case you want to know, this is POL 2246. And it's one of the first full braids I spun on my spinning wheel, and so it is bulky in some places, it's DK in some places, it's overspun in some places, it's underspun in some places, and so I got the idea to use it with a commercially spun worsted weight yarn to add some structure and stretch out my yardage a little bit, and that for me was Patton's Classic Worsted. That is the black color you are seeing. And this teal color you're seeing is Highland Worsted in the Lagoon colorway by Cloudborne Fibers. And the fun thing about these two yarns, the Cloudborne came from a friend of mine that knits, bought a sweater kit and quickly decided she had no interest in knitting sweaters. And then when I started to knit, she was like, hey, do you want this? And she gave me a whole sweater's quantity of this yarn. I have since made her a sweater out of this yarn, and then I had 2 and a good chunk of a 3rd skein left over. Not this ball of patterns, but this sweater took probably a full about 3 skeins of the Patton's Worship. Probably I could have made it work. No, it took 3 and then I had to break into a 4th, and I'll get to that. But the first 2 balls I had, if y'all recall, my shawl in a ball, all that shawl in a ball I had came from a friend who crochets. She's not able to crochet as much as she used to, and so she was getting rid of her yarn. And originally I was just like, oh, I really want the Patton's Worsted, but toss in the shawl in the, I just want to try the shawl in a ball. And she gave me the balls of Patton's Worsted I wanted and proceeded to give me every ball of Lion Brand shawl in a ball. So this is very much a sentimental sweater on several levels. It's got my hand spun mixed with yarn that I got from 2 pretty good friends of mine that also knit. So that makes me very happy. Back to how much of this yarn I use, because the original pattern calls for a contrast color and a main color. In Stephen West's pattern, this yoke is black and white. He uses black as his main color, white as his contrast color. So this is black and white. The sleeves are black and white, and then the entire body is black. I used all black for my main color, what would be the main color in the pattern. Originally, I thought I was going to do all hand spun, but I decided that was way too busy and the black really grounded the pattern. So I did all black, and whenever it said the main color, got through the yoke with my hand spun and pretty much had maybe 10 grams left, and not worthwhile for me to split that in half and try to do sleeves. So I just continued the body with my hand spun, and then I pulled this out and thought it went fairly well with the rest of the colors. And in Stephen West's pattern, he does the striped yoke and then the body is the solid black. I continued the striping into the body just because I felt like it looked more complete that way. And one other difference is, being that black is the main color, black should be my cuff color. And I decided that thinking about how I wear my sweaters, it makes me, okay, let me start over. When I'm wearing a sweater, I can't see the sweater, obviously. I can't see what I look like. It's not like I'm looking in a mirror all day. What I can see, though, are the cuffs, and it just makes me so happy to see this blue color. If it was black, it just, you have the opportunity to make a custom-made item for yourself, so you might as well go full on with the customization. I was a little torn at first because I feel like, matching cuffs, matching ribbing at the bottom, matching collar, that makes the most sense. But knowing that 9 times out of 10, all I'm going to see is my wrist at work typing on a computer, I decided it was worth it to add that little punch of color. As far as the pattern goes, this is a size medium, which is for a final bust circumference of 44. The pattern calls for like about 5 inches of positive ease. I have a 38 to 40 inch bust. I could have done the small, but I did not want too much fabric bunching up in my armpits. And I also hear that when you're knitting with 100% wool, when things felt over time, they tend to shrink up. So I wanted to have some space in there. The other thing is I knit the sleeves. In the pattern, he gives you instructions on how to decrease, but he also notes that if you want your sleeves a certain length, take that in mind when you do the sleeve decreases. So basically, I got to the second to last sleeve decrease, which was about here. And if I had done them to pattern, my sleeves would have been like this, basically, which is a look in a mood, to have like the Ariana Grande moment. But I have 2 small children. I work full time, so 9 times out of 10, my sleeves are going to be like this, and I don't really want too much extra fabric. So I kind of quickly did the decreases I needed to get the sleeves to the length that I wanted, and I did 3 inches of ribbing. In his sample, he does like 6 inches of ribbing, and he has like the Ariana Grande situation happening. But like I said, it's a moment, it's a thought, but not for practical everyday use. The other thing is, once this blocks, you guys may remember the last time I showed you this, the collar was up like this and it relaxed a lot with blocking. This is a folded rib, and then the shoulder detail is brioche, and so it all kind of relaxed, and so it made the sleeves even longer. So I'm really happy I went relatively I always kind of try to go shorter with my sleeves, because I try when I'm blocking not to stretch the sleeves out, but the shoulders, everything's just kind of relaxed, especially when you factor in the final weight of the garment. What else do I want to say about this? I'd knit the body to, he says just to knit the body to your desired length, and then do 2 inches of ribbing. All the ribbing is twisted ribbing, which I thought I hated until I did 2 ranunculuses this year, and so now I am completely indifferent to twisted ribbing, and I think it looks neater. I like the look of it. I did use, and I'm going to put it in the comment box, what do you call it? The description box below. I told y'all a few episodes that Jessica McDonald has a 4-hour YouTube tutorial that takes you from start to finish on how to knit a sweater. And I wasn't going to watch it at first because I was like, I'm an intermediate, sweater knitter. But she specifically said she was going to talk about that stair step you get when you bind off in the round. And I always kind of just cheat and just sew it up when I'm done. But I learned how to not have that. And I don't have any holes in my armpit because of her tutorial. And so it's definitely worth your while to watch, even if you're a accomplished knitter, and there's timestamps throughout the video to take you to certain tips. And I was actually listening to the whole thing because I really enjoy Jessica McDonald's voice. She's a very good teacher, very soothing voice, and I was glad to add some more professional touches to my sweater. I did not. There is a method. I don't know if my arm is twisted up the right way or the wrong way. I do have jogs in all of my stripes because it does not bother me, but if that bothers you, definitely look up jogless join methods. The one thing you could do, because if you do knit this sweater in all wool, if it's 100% non-superwash wool, you can splice the yarn together, which I did. Whenever I joined a new ball, I just spliced it together. I didn't do any special joins. And you could do that, or you could look up a jogless join method. But I think that just adds to the charm of having a hand knit garment. There's like, to me, if someone says, did you knit that? That's not really a diss to me at all. I don't take that like as something negative. I think it's really cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did knit it, and let me tell you all about it. And so I like those little touches that people are like, oh, that looks handmade. But I do appreciate the little touches, like not having that stair step, because it's just, you know, like just little thing like this folded collar. I like little details like that. I like that balance of refined finishing, but also a little bit crafty. Like, you know, this is hand spun, so it's not even in all the places. The other thing is garter stitch grows a lot when you block it. But yeah, so I have like little pops of color and little bows. Like technically one sleeve is a little bit longer than the other because the yarn is just thicker on one side because I used my hand spun, and that's okay, you know. And so I'm super happy with this. This is my official Festivus season sweater, and I am super, like, it just makes me smile every time I put it on, and it's super warm. If you are sensitive to wool, these have just these yarns have just a little bit of prickle to them, which I don't mind, especially when I'm cold. Once again, it just adds to that kind of homemade feel. I do have a t-shirt on underneath, but I wore it with like a v-neck the other day, and I had the wool directly against my décolletage, which is, you know, known to be a sensitive part. So I felt little prickles here and there, but it was also like 30 degrees outside. So I'm pretty, I don't register that prickle when I'm feeling the wind whipping against my face, you know. I think that's all that I have to say about this. If you have any questions, I have a Ravelry account, but I just use it to buy patterns. I don't do a whole lot of note taking. So if there's ever something I mention that you want to know more about, just shoot me an email or shoot me a DM or put a comment below. And I'm happy to talk through other things about the pattern if you're curious. So I finished this, and it just put me in such a mood. And, you know, it's December, fun things are happening. We're watching all of the movies. We're going to drink all the cocoa. And so I'm just like, I feel like I need another kind of fun, colorful, quick knit that is specific to this season. This is the season of people are doing Vlogmas, people are opening their countdown calendars. I don't have anything like that, but I appreciate doing something to mark the season. And so I got it in my mind to go into my yarn room, pick up all of my like bulky weight yarn, and just start knitting a tree skirt. And this is the Knit Around the Tree Skirt. This is a free pattern by Pearl Soho. Jake Canton designed it for Pearl Soho. And this is where I'm at so far. And you should, by now, you should recognize that I have a certain color palette. I'm about maybe a quarter of the way done at this point. And boop, boop, where am I at? And so, yeah, just a ton of bulky weight yarn that has come from craft stores over the years. Specifically, I'm going to take this sweater off because it's going to get warm, and I'm about to hold up this tree skirt. Specifically, there's quite a few balls in here of things my family have gotten me for Christmas over the years. You know, usually I get a ball of yarn or two stuck to my stocking. And so it's really exciting to use this in a gift to give back to them. And then it's got my Christmas yarn in it, and it's a Christmas item. I've had this thing, I've been knitting for, this will be my third Christmas that I've been knitting. And I got it in my mind literally the first Christmas. I was like, oh, I could knit a tree skirt. I could knit a tree skirt. Or I go out to like Target or whatever and I see a tree skirt and it's not quite the right size, not quite the right colors. We're not big like red and green people as far as like our Christmas tree goes. And I'm just like, do I really want to spend $50 on something that I'm not that excited about? Something that I feel like I can make myself and be like super duper happy with it. And that first year I actually did try to make a tree skirt. And it was small and it was ugly. I used just whatever bulky yarn I got from the thrift store, and it came out much smaller because I didn't really understand yardage. I just saw bulky yarn. I was like, oh, bulky yarn, it's a big ball of yarn. This must be a lot of yarn, not realizing that the bigger the yarn, the shorter the yardage and the less fabric you're going to get out of that. Like a bulky, extra bulky, the bulky weight yarn has like maybe like 72, 90 yards in it. And so I had this like little scrunch up thing under the Christmas tree. Ended up donating it back to the thrift store. But just in the back of my head, it's kind of like this, the cobbler's children have no shoes thing, where I was like, I need to get around to making that tree skirt. And yes, every Christmas I've had a whole year to the next Christmas to make one, but no one wants to make a Christmas tree skirt in July. I mean, unless you want to. I don't want to make a Christmas tree skirt in July. I have to wait till the spirit hits me, and the spirit hit me this week. So I started working on this guy. It starts on one edge, and it's a series of short rows, and they tell you where to put little stripes in. In the original pattern, there's a main color, and they use a white because it's Pearl Soho, so they're super sophisticated. So they use a white, and then these little blip stripes are different colors. And so I'm using the same technique, but I cast on, the pattern says to cast on 55 stitches. I cast on 75 because I'm super extra. And then I'm also doing more short rows. And then I'm doing kind of random little bits of striping. This is a great like kind of like stash buster thing because these little stripes don't take up much yardage. So you can just grab whatever scraps and put those stripes in there. Yeah. So this is a Michael's yarn, Michael's Facets, I think, that I got for Christmas one year. This light purple I got from a random Michael's grab bag. This white was a Christmas gift. And this ball I'm working with right now, this is a Karen Spice Cake, and it was a limited edition color, and I got it for Christmas last year. And my favorite thing about this yarn is that my husband, Mr. Rulud, took my daughter, Rulud Jr., to Michael's and asked her to pick out the yarn. And he was just like, you'll never guess how she picked out the yarn. And she went and he tried to keep her on rails. And was like, oh, you think mommy would like this? You think mommy would like this? And Rulu Jr. was very discerning, and she picked out the yarn she wanted, and she picked them out based on how they smelled. And Mr. Rulud said he would offer her a ball of yarn, and she would smell it, and she'd be like, no, I don't like this, and put it back, and then she would smell other ones, and she'd be like, I like this one. And it's funny because, it seems like such a strange little 4-year-old thing to do, but it's actually, for those of us in the know, a lot of people do complain about kind of like a chemically smell on a lot of commercial yarn. And even on like some like natural wool, they can have that vinegar smell if they've been in the dye bath recently. And so it was just very interesting that a 4-year-old knew, like, I don't know if her nose is more sensitive than the rest of us, or maybe she's been watching a lot of YouTube with me where they go, every time they take yarn out of the bag. I don't know, but I thought it was the cutest thing in the world. And so I just love having a little token of that moment. I can look back at that yarn and remember that story even when Rulu Jr. is an adult. The other thing, I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and we're saying, oh, you ready for the holidays? What do you got going on? Da da da. And we're talking about putting our trees up and everything. And I said, oh, I'm knitting a tree skirt. And she was like, that's so cool, because she's been married a couple years now. She's relatively a newlywed. And she was like, yeah, we both got our ornaments from when we were kids, but we just kind of went to the store and bought a tree skirt. And she said that she remembered her tree skirt from when she was a kid, and she always had a very strong feeling towards it, like a sense of nostalgia, because she was like, the ornaments would change every year, but we'd always have this same tree skirt, and we'd pull out this tree skirt, and it just filled her with so much holiday joy. And so she was like, that's really cool that you're going to have a tree skirt that actually means something, and it's not just something you bought. And so maybe when Rulu Jr. and my Rulu Jr. Part 2 grow up, they'll cage battle for this as to who gets to put this in their house, because they'll have such fond memories of pulling out the tree skirt. I don't know, because obviously with the short rows, it's meant to, you have the curve here. Pretend I'm a Christmas tree. We're going to knit all the way around. I'm thinking about just maybe doing halfway or even like 3/4 of the way, because we have our tree kind of in a corner, so I don't really need that much fabric in the back. And also I'm going to do like tassels hanging off of it and stuff, and so it's just all going to be scrunched up in the back, so I really just need the front to be presentable. So I might do it like that. The other thing I love about this pattern is I'm not weaving in any ends, because we got all these ends from all the striping, and that's going to be tassels, and I'm going to add more tassels in and tie some knots and everything. And so it's just going to be really relaxing. The only thing about it is knitting at a larger gauge is a little rough on my hands, so I can't make much progress. But the best thing about knitting with bulky weight, it's growing very fast, and so I should have this done. Definitely will have it done before Christmas. We'll see if I have it done within the week, and it's gonna be just a wonderful thing. I'm very excited I have all kinds of holes in my shelf now. And one of my big goals for 2024, speaking of the new year, speaking of resolutions, is going to be to reorganize my craft room. And so the less stuff I have in there to move, the easier that process is going to be. So I'm really glad to kind of do a project like this to really wrap up the year. Other things that I got planned for my fabulous vacation, which I'm not going to go on vacation from YouTube, I'll be back, but vacation from work. A lot of people are doing the 100-day spindle spinning challenge that Andrea Mowry posted about. And like I said, I don't have an advents or a countdown calendar rather. It's not really my preferred method of purchasing and working with fiber. But I have this bag I've shown y'all before from Into the Whirled, and it's just their odds and ends collection, just a way so I could try out and see how they dye, what kind of fibers they use. It's a mixed bag of fiber. They don't really tell you. It could be superwash, it could be cashmere, it could be nylon. You don't really know. But I also like to see what kind of dyes they use and what they look like in real life. And so I'm kind of using this as a countdown calendar, if you will. Like I don't really need to like open up a tiny little box every day, but the idea of pulling out just some little bit of fiber and working with it every day, that part of it appeals to me. Or the fact that I like little, like you see my sweater, you see this. I like scrappy projects, so I like the idea of working with colors where I don't necessarily have control over how much I have and what it looks like. And a lot of times playing with colors, I discover combinations I didn't know worked well together, and I discover things that I wouldn't have seen if I just used all one commercially dyed fiber. And where is it? Oh, here it is. So, I'm going to do 10 to 15 minutes of drop spindling every day. Got some on here, and I think I'm maybe going to chain ply it all together at the end, so then I have like stripes and you can kind of see my progression over the season. I don't know. Also, got the wheel going, of course. Always got the wheel going. I also have my quilt I'm working on. I think having some time off from work, that's a great time to get like seaming done. I haven't made any more progress on it, so I'm not going to show it right now. But I'm doing that, but I'm also leaving places for spontaneous joy. The idea that, like I was saying about like clearing off my nails for January 1st, like I can't play by those rules. I need space to play and do whatever comes to mind. I still have all the other projects I showed you. I still got socks I'm knitting. Still got the straps for that summer crop. All those other things I'm working on, but it's nice to pause and just do something during the season when all of this type of energy is around me. I have the energy of happiness, the energy of community, Also the energy of the darkness and the quiet, and I don't have anywhere to be. That energy too is something to behold as well. I don't have to be busy running around all the time. I can just sit and just be one with the wool, and I love it. So I'm gonna leave it there. Please let me know what you're thinking about this time of year. Are you celebrating Hanukkah? Are you celebrating Christmas? Are you just celebrating the fact that you're alive and well? Let me know. Also, let me know if there's any special projects you're working on this time of year. It's cold outside. It's darker outside. It's a great time to just be inside with your craft. Also, if you're a gardener, let me know, because after the solstice, each day we get more and more sunlight, at least in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, let me know that too. What are you doing in the summer hemisphere? Are you having your pavlova on Christmas Day? Let me know all of those things. You can always find me at Rulude on Instagram. You can send me an email, candibknittin@gmail.com. You can hit me up on the Ko-fi as Rulude. All of the things. Comment below, share this video, do all the YouTubey things, but most of all, have a very, very happy December. See you next time. Peace.